All right, homies, it's time to get real. It is time for me to be as real and as humble as possible. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the progress has been insane. I could not be happier with what I've put forward in my training and how I've grown past my knee injury especially, and just doing better in general. My Olympic lifting has actually never been so good, and that's something I hold in such a high regard because it used to be the complete opposite, where my power lifts were so superior that it was hard for me to have any sort of good technique. And so I'm going to tell you right now, I am so proud of what it's become, because this is what I've been fighting for so many years, ever since I made the change to switch to predominantly Olympic lifting, because it's not fun doing that change when you're just a strict power lifter, barely touching 90 degrees, doing the widest bench you can imagine. Your core and your low back are so bad when you do that, at least where I was at, that I just could not get to a point for a very long time. It took, I think, 2.5 years to say that I was consistently good at this sport. Because I really didn't feel that way for the longest time, because I never got coached. And that's not an excuse, because that was my choice, but it's just the reality of it. And it took a lot longer for me to figure out the technique, because I wanted to work with trial and error to find more enjoyment and passion out of it for my own reasons, not just doing it because I saw someone else do it kind of thing. Because I genuinely fell in love with the sport. And today was different for sure. Again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I trained poorly. In fact, it was actually one of the best training sessions I've had in a while. It's one of those things where I have never been so strong, yet the standard of my current lifting is, in full reality, just me being honest with myself, it's pretty pitiful. It's pretty disgraceful to myself from the past training I used to do, where even though I was weaker, the lifts were performed more efficiently, with better technique and a better purpose and reason behind it. And I'm not sitting here telling you guys I don't have the intensity, I don't have the drive for this kind of stuff, because I know I put in the work. I know that I have that love and that emotion for it. You guys know I get loud, I can't help it because I love this shit too much. But it's the difference of understanding where I need to be versus where my brain wants to be. And I've been allowing myself to go where I want to be for a bit too long. And this happens a lot with anybody who's been training for a long time in something. They have a poor injury, it takes them out for a long while, and the recovery is so shitty and just heinous in general that the moment you get that back, you just want to put in everything every single day, just so that you don't regret not putting in that effort if you get injured again, even though you know that increased intensity could be the reason you get injured. It's such a back and forth thing, because you love something so much that it's hard to allow it to have that space and that freedom to grow at its own rate rather than the rate that you want it to go at. And I'm gonna be honest, it's such a high when I get to a good point like today in my training, but the realizations I made today really didn't make it a bad day by any means, but it brought me to, I gotta keep saying it, it humbled me. It brought me to my fucking knees. It showed me what needed to be done, because it's getting to be too much. This is the first time, even though the training was so good, it's the first time in a while that, don't get me wrong, no pain. I'm not worried about any injuries right now, but I felt that discomfort in my knee again on my left, like I used to, and that is terrifying because of how hard I worked to get where I am today. It's so easy to lose sight of the reason why you chose to recover the way you did and got to that new highest point. You gotta make sure you keep yourself in that mindset of what that recovery meant to you, and what it got you to be now. And dude, putting 3 plates over my head again was exhilarating. It was necessary for where I'm at now, and I couldn't be happier with the effort I put behind it. The first rep was beautiful. It was so good. Wasn't perfect by any means, no. But, dude, it felt good to have that good a rep with that heavy a weight that I'd only put over my head with a full clean and jerk once in the past. I had one power clean and jerk at 3 plates, and that was on some different kind of training, and it messed up my knee again when I was trying to recover in the middle of it. So I'd gone too fast during that time. And it feels good to be able to, I can sit here and confidently tell you I can put 3 plates over my head, and there's not a doubt, you know? This is that kind of strength is now my new standard. But the second rep is what brought upon the issues today. Because the pull and the clean were actually just as amazing, if not better, than the first one. Because I have that technique, I have it down. But it just keeps coming back to the fact that my core and specifically my abs are not strong enough for the weight that I've been putting up to do this consistent heavy stuff. Because I broke when I caught that clean. I caught it, and I 100% would have had that second rep. I guarantee it. But I could not hold my chest up. I could not keep my delts where they needed to be. I didn't focus enough on my core and my balance on the catch in the bottom of the hole, and I had to pause, rep it up. I tell you guys all the time, if you have to pause a clean in the bottom because of the imbalance in your core, you're doing it wrong. That's just plain and simple. You're not strong enough. I don't care if it was a technique issue. If you are not meeting the minimum standard of high quality lifting that you want to achieve, even if it's the heaviest weight you've ever thrown in your life. I don't care if I'm going to put up 365 over my head. It better look damn near perfect compared to the standard that I uphold myself to. Because that's what it means to make legitimate progress based on my own desires and efforts in my training program. Because I'm not sitting here just trying to get strong as shit and not care about what the way it looks or how strong my core is. I know I have that in me. I looked back at my old videos before my knee exploded, and I one of them was a 4x4 with kg plates at 315 with ease. There wasn't a question in my mind back then that I could do 4x4 at 315. You know, back then I got to the point where I could do 375 for a double. But that misconception of what those days meant is what keeps me wanting to put the weight back on and put on weights that I really want to hit so that I see that I'm making progress rather than weights that I need to stick at for a little while to get confident again in my core that I'm lacking in. Because even though some days were better than others, like that 375 for a double, for example, I looked back at that and the form was horrible. I was fully bent over. I couldn't hold my core worth shit. And I don't care if it still gets me stronger. It's supposed to hit other parts of my body. I'm not supposed to be crunching mid front squat. You know, that's not what I trained for. So if there's any doubt in my mind the technique's not going to be there, I shouldn't attempt it. That needs to be the new standard. It needs to be that way. Because if I'm getting myself to a point where I'm going to be injured or over fatigued because of this training in the short term, then what? I have no hopes for my long term then. You know what I'm saying? And so I am so incredibly happy and excited with the effort I put behind 3 plates today. But for the long term of my lifting, when it comes to the basics of it, it wasn't worth it. But that knowledge that it wasn't worth it is why it was necessary to happen. You know, I'm thankful I am not injured right now because I don't think it would have been close today. But just that inkling of a doubt is what can take you from being the best lifter you've ever been to the worst that you didn't realize was just sitting there waiting for you to fuck up, you know? So when I got to my front squats, I instantly started losing confidence. And not in the sense of my lifting or my strength, but I knew for a fact that with this new idea in my head of what I wanted my standard to become, it's either I can stick to what I'm doing right now and commit to doing the heaviest weight I can quote-unquote comfortably hit, but that just means getting near failure, which is still not very comfortable, realistically, or I can make the change right now. And even though the standard strength-wise will become lower, that does not mean in the long term that means the same thing. You know, my technique now was better. I'm not 100% proud of it. I got the 3 plates for 4. That's great. but I should be killing that right now, especially since my clean and jerk has never been this strong before, compared to how my front squat used to be so heavy. And that's why I'm crumbling under the weight on these heavy days on clean and jerk. It's solely because I don't have that basic technique down on a lift that's meant to accessorize the clean and jerk, And so the front squat can't be looked at as a strength lift anymore. It needs to be that accessory that will work to the highest extent of its ability toward a different lift, not just for itself. So I'm really glad I stopped, because my brain wanted to put on 325 so bad, but it's the thought that I knew for a fact. It wasn't even a question that if I had done that, I would have 100% would have rounded the third, if not the fourth as well rep with a crunch in the middle of the squat, and it would have ruined the technique. And that sort of technique is what would have transferred over to my clean and jerk, not the perfect form that I want to really lock my core in. Because when my core can't hold it, the stress goes completely to my low back. And that's why my low back is so primed. It gets hit with everything because my technique is not where it needs to be. So I got to my clean pulls, and I was like, we're going to do something real confident. I want to get a really good pull. I can, it's okay to struggle, and small bits of pain are fine. That's the sport. But I'm not going to do anything that's going to risk me today. We are supposed to be getting back into this. The first cycle on a new program is supposed to be consistent, confident, with no doubt. So let me just do something that feels really good, really consistent. And even though it moved a little slow off the ground, 405 for a double and clean pull is pretty damn good for as high as I was able to. Not even so much as high, but I had a very consistent and whippy pull. I want that highest vertical explosion that I can muster every time I do a clean pull like that. I don't want to just struggle with my shoulders because the technique isn't where it needs to be, or let my butt come up because my low back's not strong enough, or even more, if it's fatigued too much, that'll also take it out. There's all these factors, and it all just comes back to the fact of the standard needs to change. It needs to be legitimately long-term invested in my body, not just my mind. So, I tell people, let me tell you how I'm doing first, just to get the numbers out of the way. But through and through, all of it, with this experience either way, physically I still felt amazing before I started losing a bit of confidence. The clean and jerk was, I've never whipped that hard at that heavy a weight and felt good about it up until that last rep. So, all in all, I'm still going to give it, just a flat 9, solely because the clean and jerks were so good. If the first rep on the clean and jerk didn't go, it would have been more like an 8.5. But I know I was locked in. I was fully confident. I knew I had that shit. So I have to be real with myself. And, I have to give myself that credit. Because strength-wise, it was there. It's just the confidence in the technique in my core that I need to increase. So mentally, through and through all this, I actually couldn't be happier. I couldn't be more excited, because right now the program is written down as returning to my roots, and it's not because, originally it was based off the idea that I would try to do some old stuff that I knew worked back then. But I had the realization that even if I'm doing the old stuff that I once knew, doesn't mean that it's going to work the same now. And I know that already, but it's just, you have to go through the experience to relearn it and relive it so that you can become confident in what the next step can be that you've never done before. And what I want the meaning to really mean now, not just doing an old program I used to do, but the old mindset I used to have, and I still have it. I just haven't had to think about it for a while because of how much better I've gotten at the sport. Because, getting better at anything will make it so much easier to forget the most simple of lessons you learned throughout those passions, because you become so biased toward how good you've become in the most realistic way. I don't mean it in a narcissistic way at all. I have become so confident in my lifting that I've thrown the basics to the wind and said, fuck it, let's throw something heavy just because my brain told me to, Because sometimes even if your body does feel fine and your mental's up, does not mean you should throw the heaviest thing you can for that day, and that's what I'm learning. So mentally, I'll put it at a 9.25. It was still a very, very good day. Very happy with everything. And this is going to be what I want to experience, so that it's not what my brain wants to hear now. It's upsetting in the moment, but it's going to be what makes me twice as passionate in a month from now. Because I used to talk to people all the time about this. When they'd get injured, or even if they felt just the slightest inkling of pain and doubt in themselves, I would tell them the best thing you can do, whatever program you're on, if you are losing that confidence, or you're injured, or you're coming back from an injury, whatever program you want to run it. Do it to the best of your ability. But base it off numbers that are lower than what you want and what you know you can hit, and base it off numbers that you can confidently destroy. Because when you can really kill those numbers that you absolutely know you have, even if it's not going to satisfy the ego as much as you would like it to, that's going to give you such a great basis for increasing the weight later on, so that you can build upon that same program over and over and over. It really doesn't matter so much what you do. It's the intensity, the passion, and the purpose behind each lift. And I need these lifts to look damn near perfect every time I do them, so that I know that I'm being worked in the most efficient way possible, so that my strength can grow at the same rate as my technique, and not the vice versa. It's been a day, but I'm excited. Either way, I'm very humbled. I want to really take it easy. I think what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to finish this program out. I told you guys I'm going to commit to it, and I am prepped for the numbers that I have in store. And that's because I basically failed everything. I wasn't strong enough to confidently lift the weights I had planned originally, because it was supposed to be ending at a 335 clean and jerk, 285 snatch, 455 back squat, and 355 bench for whatever volume I had for that specific peak week. And it's at least 10 pounds lighter, if not more. And that reset that I need to do the lighter stuff is going to be what makes the difference. Because I go lighter now, I reset the program exactly where I left off with the weights that I tried to do this program, do them more confidently with more experience. And even if the front squat and overhead squat and my other accessories aren't exactly as heavy as they used to be, I don't care. The standard has changed, and I'm at a different place now. And even if my squats, with the clean jerks, even if my front squats used to be naturally and typically stronger than my clean and jerk, doesn't mean that I can't grow away from that in a positive way. I can still be the strongest lifter I've ever been with a clean and jerk that's near the strength of my front squat. I'm changing, and I want to grow through that, because accepting that seemingly negative thing is going to be what allows me to try to work towards something different, something better for myself now. So, like with front squat, for example, cut it off at 315 this week for the set of 4. So next week, I'm only going to go up to 335 for a double and cap it there. That'll be a very confident double. I know I can do that with great form, with good consistency, and I'll keep the volume up within the warm-up sets on those lighter days so that I can keep the consistency moving throughout all the weights. The only days where I don't care about the volume are on those few heavy days with snatch, clean and jerk, bench press, and back squat. But every other lighter lift I do needs to be the same volume every set to keep that volume up without overdoing it in the long term. Because I can't be doing 5 sets of 3 on clean and jerk anymore. I'm too busy and too tired for it with the work that I've been doing in my daily life. So I'll grow based off these new numbers and this new standard of strength, and I'm going to make it to where I can evolve in a way that is not clouded by the bias of my old self and my old ways of lifting, because they're gone now. Past ain't real anymore. It's gone. It's a good perspective to look back on, but that's it. Got to move on with yourself right now and what you're capable of currently. So let me know how your lifts and your lives have been going, because I love hearing about it. I appreciate y'all hanging out, because I know it's a bit more of a roller coaster today, but you got to get it out. You got to see what's in your mind so that you can truly and confidently move past it. And I'm so excited to do some lighter weight, chill out for a couple weeks. I think at the end of the program, without jumping back onto another cycle right away, I'll do 1 week of the complexes so I can deload while also training my core and technique better. And then I'll jump back on the strength building, and that'll give me a good time to take a little rest. So I am excited. New things are coming. And, you know, even if it's not as impressive as I want it to be, hang tight, because the progress will come, and it will come twice as fast when I lock it in the most efficient and positive way possible for both my mind and my body. I will be right back tomorrow. I have recovery day for snatch and squat. So I'm going to just take it easy, do my thing, relax, and not worry too much about it, because I should go into the gym every day feeling like I'm going to crush it, and then leave knowing that I did, and that I'm going to come back and do the same thing tomorrow. I love you guys. See you later. Bye.